it's funny that you mention about the US not quite meeting that 5% target, because Trump has essentially said that the US doesn't need to, because the US is already contributing so much and has done over so many years.
Good evening, Harriet.
Hello, Kate. Hi.
Well, Donald Trump consistently in the headlines. He knows how to do it, doesn't he? He confirmed that he believes his brokered ceasefire between Israel and Iran will stand even after Iran missiles reportedly hit northern Israel this morning. And there was some retaliation from Israel as well. He said he had to have a stern word with the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Here's Trump's temper boiling over in front of the media earlier today.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. Do you understand that?
Well, on Air Force One, Trump was feeling positive about the future of Iran and their lack of nuclear weapons in the future.
They're not going to have enrichment and they're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and they know that. They're going to get on to being a great trading nation. You know, they're very good traders. And they're going to be a great trading nation, and they have a lot of oil. They're going to do well. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
So did they promise?
The last thing on Iran's mind right now is nuclear weapons.
Yeah, look, we've just seen reporting here via CNN that an assessment produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency said that the US strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities on Saturday essentially didn't do the job properly. This is what CNN is reporting this evening. The White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has described that assessment as flat out wrong. Harriet, I'm sure this is buzzing around the news networks at the moment. Do we know what the truth is here?
Well, I mean, it is a preliminary assessment. So this is from the Defense Intelligence Agency. It's a branch of the Pentagon. This is their early assessment of how successful these strikes were. And yes, they suggest that it has not been entirely obliterated, which of course is what Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, were saying. This, of course, could be revised. We could get fresh intel suggesting that they have been entirely successful. We do know that the International Atomic Agency, the head of that, has said that they believe Iran had actually moved some of its stockpiles of enriched uranium in advance, which would certainly be supported by this initial result, this initial report. But yes, I mean, the White House is saying that this is flat out wrong. So it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. And perhaps the nuances is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, we heard from J.D. Vance, didn't we, who said the bombing was a success, but essentially that stockpile of enriched uranium, just short of weapons grade, probably remains intact and is elsewhere. That was his concession to Fox News yesterday. He says the location of the uranium, not the question before us. So he was asked about this. In fact, we've got a clip of it. Let's have a listen.
The question before us is, can Iran enrich the uranium to a weapons grade level, and can they convert that fuel to a nuclear weapon? And we know, based on the success of our mission, of course, the leadership of the president, but the incredible skill of our military, that the two mission objectives are completely successful. We know that they cannot build a nuclear weapon. Now, you asked about the highly enriched uranium.
Yeah, like 900 pounds of it.
But what we know, Brett, is that uranium is something that exists in very large supply. Our goal was to bury the uranium, and I do think the uranium is buried, but our goal was to eliminate the enrichment and eliminate their ability to convert that enriched fuel into a nuclear weapon.
That was J.D. Vance speaking yesterday. So, look, we just don't know the truth of the situation, I suppose, at the moment. I'd love to know what the reaction to Donald Trump's F-bomb before he boarded Air Force One for the NATO summit is like in the US. I mean, he actually lost his cool. It's difficult when you hear it because you can obviously hear him losing his cool, but the visuals are even stronger. He sort of pulls a really kind of toys out the pram sort of move to the camera when he says Israel and Iran have been fighting for so long they don't know what the F is going on. How's that been received in the United States today?
I mean, you're right, Kate, that he was obviously livid. He was furious about this. I mean, he's not the most measured of people. He is not someone who has the sort of the academia type kind of background that some of his predecessors have had, very cool and calm. And yeah, he was furious. He was quite furious. And as you said, he picked up the phone and he was yelling at Netanyahu, apparently, saying that this can't continue. I mean, I think he had time to calm down, because we've subsequently seen that when he was on Air Force One traveling to Europe for the NATO summit in the Netherlands, he was much more measured and much more calm. He was asked whether the ultimate aim was regime change, and he said no. Actually, he said he thought that Iran could have a very bright future. He praised their business skills. So he seemed to be a bit more upbeat, I think, after the dust had settled. But yeah, he was livid because he made this quite surprise announcement on Monday night of the ceasefire. Apparently, it was so swift it caught many of his advisors off guard, and then it rapidly unraveled before his eyes. But I think it's worth noting sort of some of the nuance of that, in that Israel said that Iran launched a volley of missiles at them. Iran actually denied that. So perhaps it was some sort of mistake, some sort of confusion. Perhaps the terms of the ceasefire weren't fully violated, and maybe now they're settling into something a bit more like a compromise. But it's certainly an uneasy compromise, and very much watch this space, I think, to see whether it lasts.
We also saw reports a little earlier of the Israeli government apparently feeling stunned and embarrassed by the comments of Donald Trump. We couldn't get embarrassed from the former Israeli intelligence officer, former government spokesperson we spoke to a little earlier. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there'll be a bit of consternation there about that. When we're talking of the ceasefire, I'm sure I read earlier, Harriet, that a member of Congress has already nominated Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes, that's right. That is Buddy Carter, who's a member of Congress for Georgia. He has said that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize now because of his incredible achievements. No sycophancy there. I mean, of course, Trump wouldn't be the first president in office to win a Nobel Peace Prize. Of course, most recently, that was Barack Obama, who got it within months of actually taking over the White House. And I think Obama seemed sort of a little bit almost embarrassed to have been given it in so quick a space of time. Teddy Roosevelt got the Nobel Peace Prize, as did Woodrow Wilson while they were in the White House. Trump has talked often about how he feels that he deserves it, and he feels that he is being overlooked because it is liberals who decide who gets the Nobel Peace Prize. But I think we've got some way to go yet, Kate.
Okay, all right. Donald Trump now at the NATO summit. He is at a dinner being hosted by the King and Queen of the Netherlands. He'll be walking in a hero, won't he? According to him. And look, if he's brokered this ceasefire deal, if he's managed to achieve this, then we shouldn't make light of that at all. But I wonder what kind of Donald Trump, just bearing in mind that sort of perceived success, I wonder what kind of sort of mood Donald Trump is going to be in. He's going to be expecting a lot of round of applause, a lot of handshakes, a lot of pleased faces.
Absolutely. And you said, a hero to him, but also, Mark Rutte's text messages, which Trump shared on social media at 9:30 this morning, New York time. That was something that Trump is obviously very proud of, that the head of NATO is saying you're going to get a tremendous welcome here because you are coming here on the back of the ceasefire agreement, but also on the back of NATO agreeing to raise the defense spending across the board to 5%. Not even the US is at 5% at the moment. The US is at 3.5. The only exemption to that, of course, is Spain. And Trump has said
is it?
Unfair.
Yes, yeah, and we're still not absolutely clear whether Spain's got an exemption or not. I mean, as Donald Trump talked about how he intends to get to 5%, there is, of course, this sort of hardcore military spending must be at 3.5, and then you've got other sort of defence spending in at 1.5. Is that how he's going to sort of work it in his favour, or has he talked about how he will and when he'll increase US defence spending?
Well, it's funny that you mention about the US not quite meeting that 5% target because Trump has essentially said that the US doesn't need to, because the US is already contributing so much and has done over so many years. He seems to feel that the 5% target is very much for European nations and continental Europe, whereas the US has done a lot already. I mean, not least getting the countries to agree this, because that's something that he's always demanded. I mean, think back to that photo, that famous photo of him at the table at the NATO summit with Angela Merkel with her arms folded, and they're all looking furious, aren't they? They're all really angry at each other, and that was back in his first term, when he wanted NATO to, as he sees it, pull its own weight.
I wonder what he thinks about Canada. He's obviously levying that 5% target on European nations, but Canada. Well, I'm just looking up the figures here, actually. Currently at about 1.4%. Mark Carney's saying that Canada will hit the NATO target of 2% of GDP 5 years ahead of schedule, and sort of, trumping that. But, surely Canada is going to come under for a bit of flack from Donald Trump.
Yeah, you would have thought so, wouldn't you? I mean, you imagine that it will be yet one more mallet with which to whack Mark Carney, in Trump's eyes, because, Trump very much believes that the rest of the world needs to do more on defense spending. He singles out Germany, which does less. He praises countries like Poland, which spend much more. Macron has become quite adept at knowing that this is a way to Trump's heart, so he knows how to phrase it. Keir Starmer as well. So, politicians know that if they need to curry favor with Trump, this is a good way of doing it. And Carney avoids that at his peril, really.
Let's finish on Elon Musk, who, despite being the richest man in the world, who made his fortune through tech businesses, apparently doesn't use a computer. That's what his lawyers claim. So lawyers defending Musk, an illegal clash between him and the developer of ChatGPT, revealed that Musk used his phone for everything he does, including work. This is a bit weird, isn't it? I mean, you do get those times, don't you, where you're on your phone so much, your eyes need a break by just seeing a bigger screen, but apparently not in Elon Musk's world, Harriet.
Yeah, so Elon has argued that he uses his phone for all of his work. This is part of a lawsuit against OpenAI. Elon Musk was one of the early backers of OpenAI back in 2015, but he had a big falling out with Sam Altman, the founder. In 2018, Musk left the board of OpenAI because they disagreed about OpenAI's role, really. Musk thought that it should be all open source, whereas Sam Altman argued that it should be a for-profit company. That's sort of the essence of their lawsuit. But yes, as part of that, they're trying to get to the bottom of who said what when. That's the discovery phase. And Musk's lawyers are saying that he does not use a laptop, does not use a computer. Yet the problem with that argument is that people have very quickly found an awful lot of photos of Elon Musk's laptop all over Twitter, all over X. So you wonder quite how they're going to defend that.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Harriet. Really good to speak to you. Harriet Alexander is a US-based reporter.